Thank you all for coming today. I think I say this every time I come to Big India. The effort made to get here is what most speaks to me for all of you. The fact that this is not easy to get to, that you have to overcome probably a certain amount of resistance to making the journey. It's not like it's around the block, or you can take a subway, or you can just hop in the car. It's a good distance from New York City. There is no direct route. And it really involves a wish to be here. More importantly, it involves a wish that, having come here, you will return to wherever you are going with a sense of having spent your time wisely, that you will find inside a kind of nourishment, a kind of value, something that makes such an effort meaningful. The funny part of it is that the thing that makes the effort meaningful is not what you get here, it's that you got here. That you made the effort internally, that you took advantage of possibility and made a stronger effort to do something than to sit around the house and read the paper or watch TV or hang out, that you are reaching in some way for something. The misguided element in all of this is that that something you're looking for somehow will be transmitted by the teacher. That it resides in the teacher, and that you, by having come here, will receive it. That you will have a kind of an exchange, that you brought yourself here and now this thing will be delivered. And we are transactional like that. We always have been. We go to school to get something from the teacher. So the knowledge, the insight, the understanding of how something works, how to speak a new language, how to learn to draw, how to learn to understand the great classics of literature. We go to have somebody tell us these things, and then we try to absorb them and make them part of the structure that we are. Spiritual work is different. What you're going to get from a effort like this does not come from me or anyone sitting in my place. It comes from hearing the voice in your head which said, go do this. It comes from hearing your own self nudging, pushing, cajoling, suggesting that you move beyond your comfort zone and go to get something. The reality is, nothing I have to give will ever be as worthwhile or meaningful as that voice that told you to go get it. Whatever motivation, whatever reason it had, whether it was to make me happy, to make you happy, to come home enriched, to come home feeling assuaged in terms of whatever things you're trying to assuage. I don't know the ultimate motivation, but I know there is something in you that said, do this, do this. That is the voice that you're seeking and hoping to find from me but it is not a voice that I can deliver to you. The voice you're seeking is already in play, it's already inside you, and it's very subtle. Again, it just says, do this. Go there. Make an effort. Push. Reach. Relax. Open. These are the cues of this deep inner guiding force within us that is, for many people, inaccessible. And it's inaccessible because it doesn't come from your brain. It doesn't come from your mental processing. It comes from a very centered and deep guidance system within you that knows what you need, that knows who you are, and that is functioning in a profound way to bring you into a greater, more expansive presence in the universe. It's to shake out the cobwebs, to motivate you to find the journey that you were meant to take. If you listen to the voice up here in your brain, it will give you a cognitive, balanced, intellectualized reasoning for doing things or not doing them. So, in proceeding to come here today, it could have said, it's going to rain, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's a long ride, there's other things I could be doing, there are other things that are more important. No, this is important. And it goes through this dialogue of trying to convince you of something that's already known here. The people who are not here today paid attention to this. I know Blanche and I looked at the weather report from San Rafael and we went, oh, it's going to be pouring and thunderstorms and we know this space and it's not exactly warm and inviting. But there was never a question of, do we do this? Do we make this effort? Just, it's not a question, because it is so guided by an inner principle of service and love and connection and purpose. It has a life that is vibrant inside, and it tells us on a regular basis how to live. If you pay attention to this central space in yourself, in your heart chakra, if you can go into this quietude that allows you to hear the navigator speaking to you, you will never be at a loss of what to do. You will never be at a loss of how to function in the world. You will always know the path. The path will never come from your intellect, it won't come from your sex organs, it won't come from even your gut, even though that may all be important. But they can override, and often do override, the simple, still-pointed quietude that says, go. Do this. Don't eat that. Now. It's a simple system, but it has such unbelievable awareness. An awareness that our brain can't quite get to. And it often overrides the brain because it knows more than the brain can understand. It sort of moves you away from sexual impulse if that impulse might in fact be problematic. It gets rid of this intuitive, powerful drive that comes from your belly that could lead you in completely the wrong direction. It just goes, not yet. Wait. Shh. Okay. That's how it works. And the key, in all of our practice, in all of our spiritual life, is to get quiet enough to hear the voice. And the only reason we miss out to be instructed by our own inner teacher is that we're not quiet. We are subsumed by, consumed by the noise of daily living. The drama that goes on around us and inside us and overwhelms the system. It gets to a point often that it's so impacted that you can't even begin to think of how to dig yourself out. The idea of sitting still, of being quiet enough to hear your own navigator, is almost impossible for many, many people. The instruction of life has always been so externalized. It's always been pay attention to the forces outside yourself. Pay attention to the law. Pay attention to law enforcement. Pay attention to Good Morning America. Whatever the TV shows are that grab your attention, The View. You listen to all these people and make up your mind based on what they're telling you, or often you just assume what they're telling you. You don't make up your mind at all. But whatever all of that stuff is, it's a cacophony of noise trying to tell you, how do I survive day to day in the world? And it creates a kind of fictional person, a person who has been established by outside forces that make you, in a certain sense, the organism that you've become. These start very early in life. I've been very grateful to be a grandpa because I can now watch these things that I didn't see with my own children. But I'm watching how all of these forces are manipulating and forcing these children, my grandchildren, to become very specific people. They choose this and not that. They choose this and not that. And it locks in, and it forms a being that is very much impacted by certain things in the world. If you shed light and praise on a certain thing that a child does, you can feel them wanting to be part of that. And if you are destructive of or ignoring of a certain thing a child does, they will tend to want to move away from that into something else. And you have an enormous amount of leverage in starting to form the basic construct of a person. We've all been there. We've all been constructed by other people. Every one of us has been built and constructed by the world outside us, by information being put in, by thoughts and feelings that come at us from so many directions. And by the time we're adults, we are a solid construct that is, in a sense, being guided or misguided by the forces around us. And how do you get control of that? How do you get to the point where you really know how to deal with life when you're being driven by all these other voices that are not even yours but came into your life when you were a little child or somewhere in the middle of things, some important person told you you're this or you're that, and you started to construct yourself as that being. How do you unravel that and find your way to freedom? Well, what is it that brings somebody to meditation? What is it that brings somebody to a practice? We all have a reason that we're here. Everyone who's here in this room came to this because either something wasn't working, or you wanted to get something you didn't think you had, or something that you felt would be available here that isn't available somewhere else. And you make your way to one of these places. And there are so many nowadays, there's so many places you can go where everyone basically sits still. Period. Everyone just does this. If you find your way to that, if life has created enough of a discomfort or a shattering or an initiatory moment that says to you, all of the stuff you're doing is being done for somebody you don't even know, your own mind that you don't even fully understand, a being that has been constructed by others, you suddenly say, help me, get me out of this, get me to somewhere that means something, that's meaningful and valuable. And then you come to a meditation practice and you sit still and you start to listen to this deep inner space that just goes, do it. Yes. Not now. That way. Quiet. Jump. Leap. Out of that quiet voice comes a guided, informed, wisdom-filled life. Out of ignoring that voice comes the chaos of normal existence. Why we don't have a program in our elementary schools of sitting still and teaching people to find that voice, I don't really understand. Nothing in me would have ever understood it, even as a little kid. What is that about? But I've now watched these movies where they take kids in school and they have them meditate for 10 minutes. They all do better on their exams. They are all happier as children, better students in the classroom, measurably so, and because they have begun to introduce this idea into the school system, training people to do things that really matter, how to hear my own voice, how to get quiet enough that I can feel my way into the directions that I need to go. What's also wonderful about meditation is it also does open up your third eye, if you will. Let's just call it the realm of intellect and understanding, so that you start to have greater clarity about what you know about the world. You start to have a questioning mind. You start to have an awareness not just of information fed in, but how to use that information to make yourself a more expansive and a more intelligent and a wiser human being. You learn how to love. You learn how to say yes to people that you might have said no to for 1,000 reasons, but the inner voice says, go, open. It's shocking what comes back at you. It's shocking that the person you would have said no to suddenly is available and meaningful and real to you. Because you said yes, something emerges that might never have emerged if you had listened to your closed, reticent, frightened persona. By opening your heart, you begin to really engage others and open to possibilities that are never going to show up if you haven't opened. By opening your throat chakra and your ego-mindedness, you will begin to express yourself in ways that are much more authentic, honest, and real than if you were trying to repeat the cadences of the television characters you've been watching for the last year. I mean, I used to walk out of a theater seeing a Marlon Brando movie and I would sound like Marlon Brando for a week. That was the way I was brought up. You know, you used to mimic and take on other people's personas. But what happens when you find your voice is you become what some people will call authentic. The real person speaking. The person that you are. And that person is informed by an open mind, by an ability to express one's truth, by an open heart. And then there's this incredible navel chakra empowerment. Power resides in the navel, in the gut. And that power starts to work in service of your being, in service of this quiet voice that says, build a world, marry that person, have a child, teach, go to the beach, sit still for an hour. All of that starts to happen, and this navel chakra starts to give birth to the possibility of your life. It opens you to possibility. It's thrilling because it makes things happen once you have cognition, once you've had direction, once you've had an opening to something. It makes it happen in real life, which is wonderful. Once all these spaces are working and open, you become, in Rudy's terms, a whole person, integrated, and you find yourself with this inner guidance system having a bigger and better life than you can imagine. But let me throw out a word that's really problematic in all of our development and all of our lives. And the word is randomness. here we are, we develop ourselves as a whole person with a ability to hear our own inner guidance, and then random events occur. Meaningless, horrible, difficult, problematic events occur. And they throw everything into doubt. Everything is thrown up in the air. Complete questioning, fear, meaninglessness, all of this stuff happens. And it happens to everybody. It happens. If you've had a practice of sitting still, once you've gone through that explosion of loss, fear, doubt, whatever it is that goes on in the random world that we live in, something starts to come back into this quietude and rediscovers in a whole new way how to live, how to guide yourself through the new terrain that has just appeared in front of you. Rather than, trying to scramble through the unknown reality of your new life, you find you're still presented with guidance. Not only guidance, but with something that says, I was here before that random event, and I am still here. I'm here before you lost your job, and I'm here after you lost your job, and I will be here when you get your next job. I will be here to support you through loss. I will be here to support you through grief. I will be here to support you through sadness. I will be here to support you through the unknown reality of your life. That voice, that still pointed voice, is always available. You just have to go through these upheavals in life, and they will happen, and then get back into your center self and hear once again this thing that goes, it's okay. You're okay. You're going to be okay. And then it begins to help you reanimate yourself and return to life in a certain sense more full, more expansive, and definitely wiser than the person who was there before. The continuity of self, the continuity of the guidance system is so important to us because everything else in life is changing, everything else in life is up for grabs, randomness happens all the time. This is a constant. It is a constant if you do one thing, which is find the still point in yourself that can access it. Sit still. Sit still. You may have heard one of my earlier talks, but the key directive is stop, sit, stay, like a dog. Stop, sit, stay. If you can stop, and you can sit, and you can stay, and you go into this place, you will be reanimated by your own inner truth, your own inner reality. It will come shining through. And the thing that's so amazing about this deep knowing, this guidance system inside you, what's so wonderful about it is that it is wise beyond your years, your knowledge base, wise beyond your mind. It has an understanding of not only your heart, but the human heart itself. It knows how to trust. It knows how to reach. It brings you what I would call, more than anything else, courage. Courage to live. Courage to move on. Courage to have your life no matter what happens. It is the reviving factor. It is the renewing factor. It is the constant in a world of inconstancy. And it's right here in us. It has always been there. I'm getting old. 74, some people look at me and laugh like 74 is old, but it's the beginning of old. And you feel this extraordinary sense of stuff falling away and of loss. Every extraneous thing is falling away, and what's remaining is smaller and tinier and more precious than anything you can imagine. It is this self. Everything else is going away, and this isn't. This is there, more precious than ever, because you discover that it has been there from day one. It's you. It's who you are. It's you. You have been with you from the beginning. You are that which you are looking for. You come to a class like this, you make this huge effort to find someone to be that, when in fact all that person can do and will do is tell you, if they're honest enough, that the thing you were looking for was the thing that made you go looking. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for something to come from this guy sitting here. You're looking for the thing inside you that brought you to this. And it's already in you. It's already in play. It has always been there. Since you were born, it was there. It knew what to do. I'm watching my grandchildren as infants. They know when they don't like something. They know when they need something. They know how to make themselves known. This thing is guiding them through this extraordinary unfolding into a mature being. So many people lose their way, but you don't have to lose your way. If you get quiet enough, the way is you. The way is right here. It's sitting here. It's always been sitting here, and it is always informing you. And if you choose not to pay attention, it doesn't care. It doesn't care. I mean, it does on some level care. But it also is completely willing to let you make the biggest mess out of your life that you can possibly make, or to have life make a mess out of you. It's completely willing. It's served by that. The world is served by the dramas that go on. I don't know why it is. I don't know why it loves all this insanity that we seem to surround ourselves with, but it doesn't have a problem with it. On the other hand, it celebrates stillness. It celebrates the wisdom of knowing. It celebrates who you are at the core, and it knows at some point you'll find your way back. And you will find your way back like the prodigal son. You will be brought in with such love. When you find your way back to who you are, you feel like you have returned to that which is eternal, that which has always been, and in a sense it has. It's the doorway to the infinite, to the eternal, and it's also your own being. That's what we're doing here. We're all on this shared ride. It allows us to make the biggest mess of it that we want. It also allows us to find our way back to the simple truth and the wisdom of our own inner being. So I thank you for listening to that voice today, for bringing yourself to this room, to the wet, rainy, I guess it's not yet wet or rainy, but if it becomes wet or rainy, thanks for braving the elements. Thanks for listening to something which pushed you beyond your comfort zone, if it in fact did that, and knowing that that very instructive space inside you is the very thing that you get by coming here. You get to bear witness to the truth that you paid attention to your innermost self. What a gift. What a great gift. And it's a gift that I get from you and hopefully share with you in return. It's my guidance system and your guidance system are not different. It's one guidance system. It's universal. It is the universal. And when you know that, you wake up to the shared truth that we all experience, that we're one thing, one being, going through this dance that nobody can figure out, but that somehow leads us endlessly to ourself. So thank you for coming. We will have another class this afternoon and a couple more tomorrow and see what this leads to. Again, thank you for making the journey. I can open this up for questions. If there are any questions, I'm happy to talk. Tomorrow afternoon, probably the second class, I think we'll make it just a question and answer class. Okay. Thank you.